Hello and welcome to Gadget Joe, and today we're taking a look at some inexpensive ways to get you online through Wi-Fi. Hello folks, today we're taking a look at some solutions to getting your PC connected to the internet. Pretty much 95% of all newer computers, phones, watches and etc. all have Wi-Fi built in. But there's still lots of older systems running that simply don't have Wi-Fi capabilities and have their internet provided by meters and meters of unsightly Ethernet cable, which, while it does work, is less than ideal. These are especially useful for businesses that have a lot of computer systems that often come in tiny small form factor units that simply don't have Wi-Fi capability. In fact, even some newer systems with Wi-Fi even struggle to get connectivity due to poor signal strength. The solution to the latter can be found either by investing in Wi-Fi extenders or mesh Wi-Fi systems, but these units here can provide a quick, easy and most importantly inexpensive answer. We have 4 solutions here, plus a bonus one, which we will graze over throughout the video. First of all, we have the plug-in USB options. We have the Wave USB W4 and the Wave USB W5. Following these, we have a couple of PCIe Express cards, the Wave PCW4 and the Wave PCW5. And last but not least, we have the Wave USB BT Bluetooth adapter. All of them are presented in a nice and compact little packaging box with simple images, key information and logos all around them, with a little bit more detail on the rear. They all come in a nice little carry style box too, with a little rope handle and a bold purple aesthetic. If you're not familiar with network and you don't really know which of these options will suit you, I will go through in this video in a way to try and hopefully explain it a little bit easier and make your decision a little bit easier too, as it can be quite daunting. Let's start off with the USB options. These are pretty self-explanatory and are the most simple option of the lot. They don't require your computer to be dismantled in any way and simply plug straight into a USB port on your PC. Whilst it will work absolutely fine plugged into the back of a PC out of the way, it could make sense to have it on your case I/O on the front to help avoid any signal interference with the cables at the rear, but it shouldn't make too much of an issue. It is always important to make sure that your PC is within a decent distance from your broadband router, however, as signal strength will impact your internet speeds. There are 2 key differences between the 2 options we have here. The USB W4 is a single band nano adapter that can connect to a 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi signal emitted from your router. It's not a particularly high speed adapter, maxing out at about 300 megabytes per second, but it will be more than enough for streaming HD videos, surfing the web, or office connectivity, or playing games locally. What's more is it does have a WPS connection button on the bottom to connect it to your router without having to input any passwords, etc. The main advantage of these is they are super cheap and simple to use, and you get a connection straight away. You can pick these up for anywhere between just £5 up to around £13, depending where you buy them from. When plugging this in, I was averaging speeds from my router, which is approximately 45 foot away in a separate room from my PC, of around 180 to 220 megabytes per second, which is more than usable. The second USB option is the USB W5, and this one has a slightly more enhanced connectivity feature set. This time round we have a dual band nano adapter, which means that it can connect to either a 2.4 GHz network for up to 150 megabyte speeds, or the much more advantageous 5 GHz network with a maximum speed of 433 megabytes per second. A noticeable improvement over the previous version. This one features 802.11 AC wireless standards too, which equates to Wi-Fi 5 technology for a more stable and efficient service. It is backward compatible with A, B, G and N standards too. The USB W5, however, does not have a WPS button on it this time round, so you will have to connect it via your usual login credentials. When I tested this on my PC with the same setup as before, I was hitting just 76 to 96 megabytes on the 2.4 GHz band, which is a little bit poor, but on the 5 GHz bands, I was hitting speeds of 400 to 420 consistently, even at the distance from the router, which is very impressive considering these don't feature high gain antennas within. These can be picked up for around the £8 to £20 price mark, so a little bit of a markup on a previous model, but still very inexpensive. Obviously, when it comes to the USB options, there are some drawbacks. So the main one being the lack of the previously mentioned high gain antennas, meaning that unless you are relatively close to your router, like I am, then the signal is going to dramatically suffer. They also are often more limiting when it comes to consistency and speed capabilities than other options available on the market. And that is where the next two options come to play. These ones are PCIe adapters and require a little bit more installation to set up. Inside each box you get the adapter itself and then an additional smaller bracket with these two. These are called expansion brackets and are what are used to secure the cards into place on your PC. All you need to do with these is find the smaller PCIe socket on your motherboard. It usually looks something a little bit like this. Remove any existing expansion bracket plates from your case and then it slides into position and you can secure the bracket in with a screw to keep it in place. If this bracket is simply too tall to fit into your case, you can simply remove the taller bracket and replace it with a smaller one and it should fit your smaller case just perfectly. Once you've done this, then you are pretty much set up. It can appear quite complicated, but it's pretty foolproof and you could always ask your tech-savvy friend or family member to do it if you don't feel confident in doing so. Once you have it in place, you can then screw the dual antennas into place on the sockets at the rear of the expansion bracket and you are pretty much done with the installation. We have two models in today, the Wave PCW4, which is this one, and the Wave PCW5, which is this one. Although they look very similar, they both offer very different speeds and connectivity options. Starting with the PCW4, we have a PCIe wireless N adapter that allows for speeds up to 300 megabytes per second, much like the first USB adapter that we looked at earlier on in the video. This takes advantage of MIMO technology, which translates to multiple input, multiple output. This basically means that it can make use of multiple antennas, namely the two we see here, in this instance to improve communication performance by receiving more of the signal from the router. It also utilises Wi-Fi N technology, which isn't the newest tech in Wi-Fi, but it's a massive upgrade to the standards we see in the USB offerings. Basically, the N standard improves speed, range and reliability by almost double than the older standards, meaning the connection will be much stronger and more secure. When I had this running, I was achieving speeds of around 250 to 290 megabytes per second consistently, and noticed no stutters at all. Definitely a very workable speed for most home and office scenarios. And these are still pretty inexpensive too, and you can pick them up from around £10 to £25. Next up we have the PCW5, and this adapter offers a substantial increase in performance over the PCW4. This time round we have the same MIMO technology, but we have dual band support, so it can run on either 2.4 GHz or 5 GHz frequencies. The 2.4 GHz option allows for speeds of up to 300 megabytes per second across multiple dynamic ranges. When using the 5 GHz option, we can achieve speeds of up to 867 megabytes per second, which is a huge step up in performance. The PCW5 is ideal for those that rely on high-speed connections for 4K streaming, internet across multiple devices, intense office or business rendering and sharing, or even high-intensity online game stream play. When I did have this one connected, I was achieving around 250 to 280 megabytes per second on the 2.4 GHz band, but when I switched it to the 5 GHz frequency, I was hitting a very tight and consistent 790 to 800 megabytes per second speeds. The PCW5 is a tad more expensive than the PCW4, but not by a lot, so you can pick these up for around a £15 to £30 price point. The key thing to note here is that not only do the PCIe cards offer better performance and connectivity, but they also offer much more superior network coverage. These dual antennas are ideal for sending and receiving signals and frequencies over a much larger area. And last but not least, we have the Wave USB BT adapter. Not a Wi-Fi adapter like the others, but ideal for giving your computer the function to have Bluetooth, an incredibly useful feature for connecting peripherals, phones, remotes, game controllers and much more. It's not the latest and greatest Bluetooth version. It utilises Bluetooth 5.0, which has a range of 20 meters. Although Bluetooth 5.0 can historically reach much greater range, you will find stability becomes an issue over this, plus taking into consideration other factors such as walls and furniture in between too. It has a transfer speed of up to 3 megabytes per second, so if you're looking to transfer your photos or videos from your phone with this, be prepared to have a considerable wait time. But for everything else, it's more than fast enough. It's also low energy at just 1.2 volts and the adapter is tiny. Once in the USB port, it only protrudes about 8mm, so it blends in nicely. What's more is it's super cheap. You can pick these up for about £5 to £10, so it's definitely a worthwhile purchase if your PC doesn't support Bluetooth. And that pretty much wraps up my video on the Prevo range of connectivity adapters, and I was left very impressed overall. Yes, they're not the fastest, they don't feature the latest in Wi-Fi or Bluetooth technology, but then they are designed to get you connected at more than reasonable speeds with a decently reliable connection at a very affordable price. The price is the key thing to note here with these. You are essentially giving your computer wireless capability for around the price of a sandwich or a dinner or a takeaway, which is invaluable in the grand scheme of things. If you are a small office or a business that's relying on long, unsightly and expensive Ethernet cables for your machines that don't have Wi-Fi, then these are an absolute no-brainer. Or even if your home PC or the new gaming PC you've just got your kids for Christmas or their birthday doesn't feature Wi-Fi, then these are your answer. Nobody likes having ludicrously long Ethernet cables dragging through the house and up the stairs, and I say that from experience because I've been there many times. For just a few quid, you can pick up an adapter to get yourself online. The only things you need to consider when choosing are distance from your router. If you are pretty close and 433 megabytes per second speed is more than enough for your intended usage, then I would recommend going for the USB options. If you're streaming across multiple devices, playing modern online games, live streaming, 4K video streaming, or are more than one room away from your router, then the PCIe options are definitely the ones to consider. Just bear in mind that PCIe ones do take a little bit more to set up. So, overall, a very impressive little lineup. Yes, it's not the most exciting video or the latest tech, but it's definitely something good to look at for those wanting a simple, inexpensive solution to a problem that exists much more than people realise, and for that they get a good solid thumbs up from me, and they are definitely an easy recommendation. As always, I will leave a link in the description down below for all the products in the video so you can grab one for yourself. Whilst you're there, don't forget to give a cheeky little like to support the channel, and if you haven't already subscribed, then why not? The button is right there, and you'll get access to lots more like this. PC builds, reviews, giveaways and much more. And that's it from me. I've been Gadget Joe. These have been the Prevo connectivity range, and until next time, goodbye.